Today, making fire can take one small flick of your thumb. But for most of human history, fire was not something you clicked. It was something you found, protected, carried, and feared. The lighter in your pocket is not just a tiny tool. It is the end of a very long human dream. Fire, on command. Long before lighters, long before matches, fire came from nature. A lightning strike could set a tree on fire. A dry forest could burn in a wildfire. To early humans, fire must have looked alive. It moved. It ate wood. It gave warmth. And if you got too close, it could hurt you. But fire also changed everything. It made cold nights safer. It helped cook food. It kept dangerous animals away. And it gave people a bright place to gather after sunset. At first, humans did not simply invent fire like a new gadget. They learned to use it. Then they learned to keep it alive. Imagine a small glowing ember as a treasure. If it went out, you might not get fire again quickly. So people protected embers, carried them and fed them with dry fuel. Before fire was easy, keeping fire alive was a serious job. Then came the hard work of making fire by hand. One way was friction. That means rubbing materials together until heat builds up. Think of rubbing your hands together on a cold day. They get warm. Now imagine trying to make enough heat to wake up a tiny spark in dry material. That tiny spark was like a baby flame. It needed care. Too little air and it died. Too much rough movement and it died. Another way was striking stone and metal-like minerals to make sparks. A spark is very small. It is not a campfire. It's just a hot little dot. So people needed tinder. Tinder is dry, fluffy material that catches a spark easily. With spark, tinder, breath and patience, a flame could begin. For thousands of years, making fire was a skill. It took time. It took the right materials, and it did not always work. Then fire became a kit. People used flint, steel, and a tinderbox. The flint made a spark. The steel helped create that spark. The tinderbox held the dry material that could catch it. This was a big step. Fire was no longer only a place. It was something you could carry as a small set of tools, but it still needed care. You still had to turn a tiny spark into a real flame. The next big change was the match. A match is simple to look at. It is just a little stick with a special head. But that head carries chemistry. When it is struck, it can make enough heat to start a flame quickly. This changed the feeling of fire. You no longer had to build a flame from almost nothing. You could pull out one small stick and start fire in seconds. Early matches were useful, but they could also be dangerous. Some were toxic. Some lit too easily. Later, safety matches made the idea safer by separating parts of the chemical reaction. In simple words, the match and the box had to work together. That made accidental fire less likely. But the match had a problem. One match usually meant one flame. Use it once, and it was gone. People still wanted something better, a small object that could make fire again and again. That idea led to early lighters. Some were strange. Some used gas. Some used chemical reactions. Some used electric sparks. They were clever, but many were not really pocket objects. One famous early lighter was Dobereiner's lamp from the 1820s. It used a chemical reaction to make hydrogen gas. Then a special metal helped the gas catch fire. It sounds almost magical, but it was not the kind of thing you would casually carry in your pocket. The dream was still the same. Make fire fast, make it repeatable, and make it small. As metalwork improved, pocket lighters became more practical. They had fuel inside. They had a wick or a nozzle. They had a small wheel and a flint to make sparks. Now the old fire kit was shrinking into one object. Spark maker, fuel, flame, all in your hand. In the 1930s, the Zippo lighter helped make the pocket lighter famous. It was built to be opened with one hand. It was made to work better in wind, and it had a strong metal case that felt like a tool, not a toy. For many people, the sound of opening a metal lighter became part of the object itself. Click, spark, flame. But the lighter did not stop there. In the 20th century, butane lighters made fire even easier to carry. Butane is a fuel stored inside the lighter. When you press or roll the mechanism, the fuel comes out. A spark lights it and a small flame appears. In 1961, Cricket introduced a disposable lighter. In 1973, Bic launched a full-size pocket lighter with an adjustable flame. Soon, the lighter became cheap, colourful, and common. Fire, once guarded like treasure, could now be bought at a store and carried in a pocket. That is the strange story of the lighter. It looks ordinary because it works so easily, But inside that small object is a chain of human ideas. The campfire, the ember, the hand drill, the struck spark, the tinderbox, the match, the chemical lighter, and the modern pocket flame. The lighter made fire feel simple. But fire itself was never simple. It warmed us, it fed us, it protected us. It also burned homes, forests, and cities. So the lighter carries a quiet warning. When humans made fire portable, they also made responsibility portable. Today a tiny flame can appear with one thumb, but that little flame belongs to one of the oldest stories in human life. The history of the lighter is the history of making a wild force small enough to hold. Fire in your pocket.